Good morning. Now, as you know, over the last few weeks, I've been riding and showcasing what I truly believe, is the best e-road bike money can buy. The Canyon Endurace with the TQ HPR40 motor. I just absolutely loved it. For me, it's perfection. But there is potentially a rival, and that is a rival most particularly for those who live in the US, where you can't buy the Canyon Endurace on fly. But what they do have is this. And this is the Trek Domane Plus. Now this is a bike that's been sent to me by TQ themselves, and I need to do lots of provisos because this is TQ's own testbed bike, and so they've changed things. Now some of the things are quite small. They've changed the shifters to Ultegra, and that's so that they can get the assist shifters up on the top of the hoods here, nice and hidden, nice and invisible, because that's something you can do with Ultegra Di2. It is 105 Di2 mostly, but there are certain things that aren't. I certainly don't recognise this chain set. The cranks are by E13 components. The rear mech is 105 Di2. The front mech is Ultegra Di2. And I don't know what else they've changed. But the biggest thing that they've changed is down at the bottom here. Let me turn the bike around. So the thing that they've done is they've actually managed to fit an HPR60 into this SLR6. Now anyone can do that, because what TQ have done is they've made the HPR60 identical in its mounting points and the way it fits to the older motor. As far as I know, no other e-bike motor manufacturer has ever done that. If you want to upgrade from a Shimano EP8 to the EP801, you have to change the battery, the wiring harness, the controls, the remote, everything. Even good old glorious Marla, when they changed from the X35 to the X20, it's a completely different system. You cannot change one to the other. But TQ have done it. It's based on the HPR50, but they've changed it, and they've changed it with regard to some of the issues that had cropped up with the HPR50. The biggest problem only affected a certain number of people, and they were the people who were using the motor in extreme temperatures. Potentially the motor could overheat, and it would put itself in like limp home mode, a minimum assist. So the first thing they did is they added an additional set of cooling vanes to the underneath of the motor body. But they weren't really content with that, not least because it meant that if someone wanted to upgrade their HPR50, it wouldn't fit. The vanes wouldn't fit with the motor cover that most bike manufacturers have used. This has meant that so far at least, TQ are supplying an HPR60 for retrofitting with a 50 watt reduction in its peak power. But TQ weren't satisfied with just fitting cooling fins. They've also redesigned the motor itself. Inside the casing, they've used new materials for both the motor parts and for the bearings, so they run at lower temperatures, and they've increased airflow through the motor itself. The alterations within the casing account now for about 70% of the increased cooling, so the cooling vanes aren't really needed. So the bike that TQ have sent me doesn't have the cooling fins, but it is a full power HPR60. I don't know whether they're expecting me to test just how bad things can get, because I doubt if they have a test rider my size. I don't know how hilly it is in that part of Germany, but we've got some massive hills, and one of them we're going up today. It's a hill that I've been avoiding. I've done it once. It nearly killed me. I really, really hated it. I shouldn't say it nearly killed me, because I have had a hill that nearly killed me. Pretend I didn't say that. I had a heart attack climbing up a hill 2 years ago. I've conquered that climb since, but I haven't actually even dreamt about going up the one today. But it went quite well on the other ride, so I'm hoping that everything will be fine today. So this potentially is the bike for those of you in the US who can't get access to that beautiful Canyon Endurace on fly, but still would like the TQ motor. Well, let's go and ride it and I'll tell you about it. I'm actually on a Trek Domane Plus right now. It is really ever so nice. Carbon fibre. It weighs a little over 12 kilos, but it has some differences to the Canyon Endurace. The one that you notice the most is this screen on the top tube, which is actually quite nice. It has lots of information. It tells you the battery as a little bar, but also as a percentage and the time. And if you flick through, it will tell you the watts from the rider and the watts from the motor. It will tell you your cadence and the speed and your average speed. When I had a quick look on the app, gotta have an app, it looked as though you could have about 8 different data screens and flick through them all if you wanted. So you could actually go around without even bothering with a bike computer, really, because it's got most of the general information just on that tiny screen integrated into the bike. Hidden in that down tube is TQ's 360 watt-hour battery. You can fit a range extender to it, and the motor itself is just a slightly larger version of the HPR40. Now I hope you'll excuse the incontinuities in this and my other videos of late. It's because I've mentioned before I'm trying to shoot about 5 at once. They've gone for TQ's 360 watt-hour battery as opposed to Canyon with their 290, and of course the motor itself. The HPR40 at 1.1 kilos is outrageously light, and I think is just utterly superb. The motor in this I think is 1.8 kilos, but as the name suggests, it does have 60 newton meters of torque, and instead of 200 watts it has 350 peak power. So on paper it should be quite significantly more powerful. I made things a little bit awkward for myself because in levels 1 and 2 on this Trek I've set the power and torque to be the same as that on the Endurace with the HPR40, and I did that for a few reasons. One, because I found those settings to be absolutely perfect for 99% of the riding that I was doing, and I'm finding the same now. I am getting a workout, but it's also so that when I do eventually put it into level 3, I'd love to know what my reaction's going to be. Because going from a level 2 which is quite low to a level 3 which is absolutely full whack, I'm thinking it's going to be quite a revelation. But they are quite different bikes. The Canyon was all about stealth and lightness and a natural, totally natural feel. This Trek is close. It is close, but it isn't the same. Already on these few rides that I've had, you know that you're on an e-bike. It is a tiny little bit noisier. The strange thing is, I don't know if this is typical for the Treks, but this one at least is fitted with 40mm gravel tyres, and they do make quite a bit of noise. So what you can hear below me now, tyres first, I can just about hear the motor, and I couldn't do that before. Let's see if you can hear it. It is still very quiet. On the 9% bit of the first climb now, and I'm really finding it hard. I think I'm paying the price a little of riding every single day because I've got all these gorgeous bikes to ride, and you can't just have them sitting in the garage. But I mean, level 2, second gear, I'm cranking out 200 watts. Bikes give me 135 watts, and it's hard going. Now going this way, I'm now committed, fully committed to a whopping great tour of the Priorat. There's very few ways I can get out of less than 1,000 meters of climbing now, and why would I want to? Yeah, I can think of a few reasons too. We've got some beautiful rolling terrain now for about 5 kilometres, and then it starts getting steep again. And when I say rolling, I mean lots of really steep climbs. This one's 11%. Something you're going to notice, the freewheel on the cassette of this bike, incredibly noisy. And I know people who like it, but I must say I like my bikes silent. Next climb, 11%. You do soon start getting some views. Very difficult for you to see, other than these beautiful, beautiful steep vineyards. Something like 70% of the Priorat's vineyards are at angles of more than 30%. This has to be one of the best looking descents around. I also confess I'm not 100% about descending on knobbly gravel tyres. There just cannot be as much rubber in touch with the ground. Absolutely glorious, and that's just a little one. I did a climb the other day into the Terra Alta 2 days ago, and it was blowing an absolute hoolie. It was horrible, horrible conditions, and I thought I'd just turn around and go home, but I knew that if I could get up to the top of this big climb into a horrible headwind, I'd turn through about 90 degrees plus. This is El Loire up ahead of us, by the way, looking very pretty. And I'd then have a tailwind, and boy did I. It's a route I do so often, and I set a PB, all-time PB, between these two towns, 20 odd kilometres, 40 plus kilometres an hour. It's because of this fantastic tailwind on 40mm gravel tyres. Used to be quite a big town, El Loire. I think there's 112 people living here now. I do like coming to this spot. One of the nicer viewpoints of the Priorat. It's right in the middle of El Loire. So you can see our road down, and you can just see the start of the climb up. And that is the climb that we're doing, and that is the one I've been avoiding probably for 3+ years. And that is the easy bit. Around the corner, I think it's between 16 and 18%. And this is a lovely little, what would you describe this as? A bower. I'll spend some time here, wouldn't you? Can you see the faux pas that I've had to endure because of the new helmet? There's no way over the top of those. It's a natty helmet though, isn't it? It was a gift. I do have a little tiny little tale of the trail for today. I know I shouldn't because I'm doing a review of a e-bike system, but you come to something like this, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared. You know what I'm doing? I'm putting off going out there. So the only question I have is how long am I going to last before I put on the level 3. Now I come down this hill quite often, but the very first time I came down is actually the closest I've come to having a really bad high-speed crash, and it was quite near the bottom here, and I was probably doing about 80, 85, really enjoying myself down the swoopies without realising that near the bottom is a sharp 90-degree bend over a bridge. I'm swooping down. I got to about there and realised that I wasn't going to make it. And what happened is I put my foot out, unclipped and put my foot out. Now what should have happened, like that, what should have happened, I was scared, I just put my foot out. And what should have happened is it should have just flipped me straight over. But instead, my foot slipped and I just went, literally just went sliding along the rail and made it round. I'm in level 1. Let's bung out to 2. That's better. Let's drop a few gears. I'm in second now. Now, what I found with the Canyon, with the HPR40, is that you could get into second gear, which the gears at the back were bigger. This is, I think, an 1134. That was an 1136. And I thought Canyon would be very smart because the TQ relies on your cadence staying fairly high, not crazy high, but over 70, 75 to give you max power. So they put a 36 on the back. Now Trek have put a 34. I think you always need it. Always. Right, I'm now in first gear level 2, and you can never ever see just how awful these climbs are on the camera. But this is horrible. But I think what we all want to see is level 3. So thumb up on the top. Just going over 11 to 12% now. I would normally just plug away, but let's see what it's got. Oh, that was a jolt. Did you feel it? Did the camera pick it up? That was a serious jolt forwards. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it'd have to pick up slowly. It's pushing a hell of a lot of weight up here. The speed's picked up. My cadence is getting quite high for me. But we're not flying up the hill. Neither is it really taking a horrendous amount of effort. This is absolutely superb. Sorry, the creak is the saddle, not anything else. And that's just down to me, apologies. You can hear the motor now too. It's a little whirring, like a dragonfly. I'm just waiting to see if my heart rate actually starts coming down, and it is. So how's that? I think that's the worst of it. We're still in double figures. And I'm still in level 3 and thinking about changing down. So we're back down to level 2. We're going to have to put it up to 3 because I forgot to see how much power it was giving us. Oh dear, what a shame. There's 3. 355, 364, 350. Oh, it is a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. It's giving me 340 watts of power now. My cadence is 86. My heart rate has dropped 10 since we started that really bad bit, and I whacked it up to level 3. If the HPR40 and that stealthy, light, sleek canyon isn't suitable, the next step up is this. It has to be. I still, for me, although I've been avoiding this climb, I didn't avoid much with the canyon, but I know there's going to be people who, and this sounds crazy when I'm as big as I am, but aren't as fit as me, and they're going to need the extra bit of oomph. Well, this has more oomph. Now we'll view backwards where we've come from. Well, I've got to say, this is an incredible win. TQ lent me this bike. I've not been told to say nice things about it. I had a lovely chat with and forgive me, Daniel, I forgot your official title. Let's just call him a big cheese. He's a really big cheese over at TQ, and he wanted to talk to me about the system, because I had some questions. It's just a lovely chap, and at the end of it he said, do you fancy a test ride? We've got an HPR60 in a test bike. Well, yes, I did bite his hand off, obviously. And now, a few weeks later, here I am, riding a hill that I've literally avoided for years. Well, I think there's two aspects to buying a bike now. There's the bike itself, and obviously when it's an e-bike, it's the system. For me, TQ are absolutely knocking it out of the park. This is powerful and quiet and light. There are other motors the same weight as this one. There's nothing as light as the HPR40. But it's what you can achieve on them as well. If you're coming back from an illness or an injury, or even maybe you're not going to come back, maybe you just want to carry on as long as you can, I would so recommend getting a bike with one of these motors as soon as you can. No, I don't get commission. Be nice if I did. I do get to ride these beautiful bikes. This is the town of Gratajops. Now, a yop is a wolf, and this town was plagued with wolves to the point where it's actually got a wall around it to keep the wolves out. This was in the sort of 15th, 16th centuries. I do like their traditions here and their legends. I'm now looking for a perfect spot for the tail of the trail. It's fitting now, isn't it? I think we might have found it. It's time for this week's Tale from the Trail. So, here we are in the Priorat. It's called the Priorat because there was a famous priory that was here that owned all of the land. Now, the monks, they were from Provence, they were Carthusian, and they were looking for a new monastery to found, and so they sent 2 knights off into the marches of Spain to find them a new home. And the knights couldn't find anything. They spent months looking for the right place, and they found themselves in this region, and they were at an inn, and they started chatting to this local peasant, and the local peasant told them of a tale. It's grape cropping time, so all the farmers are bringing their tractor loads of grapes to Gratajops to have them pressed, and they're getting in the way of my telling. Where were we? We were in an ale house, weren't we? And the knights started talking to this peasant, and the peasant had a vision, and the vision was of a ladder leaning up against a pine tree, and angels were climbing up it and then ascending into heaven with a huge flash. And that was this vision that he'd seen. And the knights, obviously pretty pissed off at being out for months with peasants rather than in some fancy hall somewhere with wenches and big roast lumps of meat like you see in the films. So they do when they're not jousting. And so they took it to be a sign from God. And so they told the priors this. The priors agreed, and they came to that spot and they founded the Priorat Escalade, the stairway to God, named after this pissed up peasant's dream. But that was the founding for it. And that's why there came to be a priory in this region, and that's why this region is called the Priorat. And that is this week's very short tale from the trail. You get fed up of looking at all the incredible views both sides of this road. There's always some nice bodegas nicely let into the hillside, so as not to look too out of place. Oh, fantastic smell coming off this bodega. They're obviously pressing right at the moment. Fantastic. It's got a nice roof too, look, hold on. Swoopy, swoopy. There's a huge descent ahead of me, so I'm distracted. If this goes on for long, those two cars are going to be a royal pain in the arse because I'm going to be a lot faster than them. Ugh. Make the road wider. There he is. Right, that's bad. Right, I'm going to let them get ahead of me. Not least because there's another absolutely stunning view here. This has turned into one of my normal adventures rather than a review of the bike. Not a review of the bike, a review of the motor and its system. We've kind of done that, haven't we? It's brilliant, it's powerful. Look at this view, seriously, look at that. We'll be down there in a minute. Gravel tyres or no, let's give it a go. It's been 773 metres climbing for 33 kilometres so far, and this is a 70 kilometre ride, and I'm done in. I'm knackered. Absolutely knackered. Just getting to the top. Wow. Lovely big descent now. Some bloke called Yakko's got the king of the mountains on it. So until the next one, thanks for watching.